Hi, everyone. It's December 19th. I'm immigration lawyer John Kasravi coming to you live, excuse me, from Los Angeles, California. We're taking your questions live. We're doing new or we're adding Twitter on here. Again, excuse me. And also, let me mute it right now. We're doing a special thing where we're going to Instagram and I got to mute it somehow. So it's a new thing Instagram's allowed us to do. Let me mute this on this for those who are listening to redundancy. Okay, I'm muted. I think that should be okay. Shouldn't affect anyone else watching this. We'll see how it comes out. It's always new things popping up. So we're taking your questions live. U.S. immigration. I'm immigration lawyer John Kasravi. We help families that are in love. You know, your spouse, your fiance, your brother, sister, people you love, come together and live in the United States. We also help people that have passions that they enjoy and they really push forward. For example, athletes, scientists who work with cancer research, brain research, actors, comedians, musicians. If you got a passion for something, we have options in the US like the O1 visa, the EB1 extraordinary ability visa, the national interest waiver, all these different things for people in your kind of situation to get you going. So we handle these kind of cases. Email us at info@jqqlaw.com for a scheduled consultation about that. And all the information we're going to provide here is general education only, not meant for individual legal guidance. So, having said that, let's get this all started and answer some questions. Like, Saj says, I applied for a VAWA while I'm still waiting for my marriage based green card. Can they shift this? You can have both of them going on potentially at the same time. You're still married with that person, but the VAWA works too. Carrie says, hi. Deshaun says, good night. Santos says, I applied for my spouse, they, and leaves it blank. We don't have more guidance what's going on there. So please keep us posted on what exactly is happening as the questions become more and more. We're going to get inundated questions in a second. So please join in if you haven't already. Take your questions by U.S. Immigration Live. Now, typically administrations come and they go, and there's a lot of changes in the immigration system. I was just talking with a colleague right now that we haven't really seen that much changes under the Biden administration, but you'd be sure if President Trump and his group comes back, we're going to see some major changes. So one of the things that comes is look into your immigration case as soon as possible, see what's going on. Don't leave it off for later. Sometimes there may be options today that you can use that at your benefit. Chintan says, I got my I-45 approved, but no green card mailed yet. It's been 5 days. It could take months sometimes, but usually it's about a month. Cappuccino says, hey, some of the documents apply for marriage green card, please. That's too generic of a question. You should download our marriage green card guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com, and it'll help you out. Because for marriage-based green card, there's civil documents, birth certificates, passports, divorce records, court records, all that kind of stuff. There's also evidence of a relationship. We have that guide, a bunch of stuff in our guide about that. There's also, just a lot of background documents. So just saying what documents to be provided, it's just not for that. Pardee says, why is perm taking so long? In one process of it, the government Department of Labor is taking too long. In another, there's a huge backlog. Carrie asks, I put my I-130 and high get it approved. I'm not sure what the question is. Motra says, I'm a U.S. citizen. Can I apply for my family? My brother is 23 years old. How long does it take for him? So as a U.S. citizen, you can apply for your parents, and that'll be faster, as fast as there is. But for your sibling, 23-year-old, if you apply for them, it's gonna take 10, 15, 20 years. So depending on what country they're from and how backlogs are, you might wanna get the green card for your parents, have them turn around and apply for your brother. Your brother will need to be single, as long as his parents are green card holders, or else they'll destroy the case, but there's gonna be 9, 10, 12-year delay on that. So it doesn't look good for your brother unless he can independently find a way to come into the United States and get status. Santos says, "I just applied for my spouse. They accepted. How long to take the next paperwork?" It just I don't know what kind of case you have exactly because you don't indicate a lot of are you citizen and LPR? Are you, consular processing or investment status? Are there waivers needed? Have there been overstays, for example? And even if I knew all that, how long government is different in every case. SDG says, "Inadmissible to the United States, can you apply for N-400?" If you're inadmissible and they incorrectly gave you status, then that'd be risky to file for N-400. Tony says, good night to you too. User O1 says, does officer ask for previous marriage question when applying for USA citizenship? You can. Is still no interview now for some cases. Most cases, doing adjustment status, there's no interview. Vascon says, can you get a green card if you file a waiver? Well, it depends on what the waiver's for, and the question isn't clear, but I'm definitely talking with attorney in private. Melly says, if my I-130 says 6 months, don't I want to say 6 months. Those are unreliable numbers. Just wait. Oh, so if you guys ask the same question too many times, it makes it very hard to keep track. So I just mute your account. You won't have the ability to ask questions again. So please don't ask multiple times. Probably all these questions will be answered. If it doesn't, watch the tape, but you can't take someone else's place and try to prevent them from ask questions. Rima says, "Why is NBC not letting me pay my fee and submit other documents? Either they're having a glitch, you need to contact them, or your case is not current or close to being current, so they don't open up that option for you." Okay, another one we gotta mute. Man, why you guys gotta ask the bazillion questions? I hate muting people, but it's hard when you ask the same question over again. Let's see. Okay, how to file a criminal report? You contact the police. Hi, I applied for humanitarian parole last year on May 4th. I have, and the question starts. Those are backed up. It's not clear when and if you're going to get it. How long after doing biometrics for adjustment do you get the green card? There's no time correlation between the two. How much is a filing fee for I-765 work authorization card? Go to usstatus.gov or just type in I-765 and go to the website. It'll specify. Sometimes you need EAD biometric fees. Sometimes you don't. So check it out there if you want something like that. Go to the source. Yeah, it says, "I just got my I-45 flu." Okay, I answered that question. Mhm. Tasha says, "How soon can I apply for a green card? I'm on asylum. I got my work permit and SSN." Um, if you got asylum, you could file, if you're asylee and you got it approved, you could file for a green card immediately, but I'd recommend waiting like 9 to 10 months before you do. Jazz says, "I just got my fir" okay, I answer that question, one more time. I gotta just dang, you guys gotta ask the same question over and over again. I hate, muting people, but it's just really throwing me off trying to figure out what's going on with these questions. Okay, so let's just go on some new ones. When can I apply for citizenship after green card? 3 or 5 years, after getting the green card at least. If you're married to a US citizen, they're living within 3 years, other cases 5 years, unless there's an exception, like if you're in the military or something like that. Yemen said, "I sent the RFE response to USCIS. It shows delivered, but they didn't update their status. Is it normal?" Yeah, they don't always update their status. They get it, but they don't necessarily update the case. Farrell says, "If your husband comes to USA but doesn't contact you and hide himself, what do we do?" That sounds like a personal issue. I don't know. I'm sorry to hear about that. The Wonder says, "How long does a work permit take to be approved? It varies." Stephanie says, "Can you give an estimate?" Timeline questions, I gotta stop it. Usually it takes longer to get into this, but there is no consistent timelines in any of the immigration process, so I do not get into, that kinda stuff. Can your I-130 still be approved for getting a gun charge? It depends what the gun charge is. Some gun charges and give me enough information. I-130 can get approved, it's more about the other I-45 or council processing. ML says, "If my baby daughter was born in the US and I'm a foreigner with a tourist visa, can I stay in the US?" No. James says, "My spouse is not working to sponsor my green card, what can I do?" You gotta find an independent way. If your spouse is abusive, maybe you could potentially file for a VAWA. Yami says, "Oh, we answered that question." Shared says, "I'm doing consular processing from September, approved by NBC. Can't get an appointment for Jamaica. They're a little backed up. Jamaica's probably a year for getting an interview." Um, Ando says, "8 months have passed after my interview and no answer yet. Any advice?" Try looking into filing a lawsuit. Timeline for F2A in the Philippines. Timelines for F2A are changing so much. There's nothing reliable I'll give you here that'll be the same next month. Yorsi says, "Do I have to live together with my wife for a whole year in order to file I-130 for my wife?" No, not at all. James says, "My spouse is not working." We answer that question. I'm gonna have to mute James if I say that question. Zuel says, "I applied for my citizenship October 3rd to prove my case." You gotta get an interview first and then worry about approval, but whenever they get around to it. What would be your advice for someone who got denied an F1 visa twice because of over nervousness? Stop being so nervous and give it another shot, but most likely you get denied, frankly. So take it with a grain of salt. You're welcome, Tosh. Carl says, "What happened if I take my biometrics for my work authorization, but clock ain't reading?" Well, my clock ain't reading. I don't know. How long does the embassy takes to interview? Embassy doesn't schedule an interview. It's the embassy you're gonna be interviewing in that schedules it, and it depends on their book and whenever they wanna schedule you. Dr. Sachi says, "I have a B1, B2 visa valid. What should I do to stay more, convert F1 or apply for extension?" You can try both if they're appropriate, because I've to give my NPT license exam in July. We could do an extension to hold you over the minimum, but if you wanna do an F1 student visa, you gotta deal with getting go to school and stuff. Mid-circle says, "Should I file mandamus lawsuit after a year of admin processing? It's up to you if you wanna file, but that's something to look into." Aria says, "My interview was canceled. It's been 3 months. What could happen?" You gotta wait. User 5 says, "My fiancée has a B1, B2 visa, and we're getting married overseas. Can she come to US and file the I-1 in the US States?" She's not filing an I-130, you are, and you can do that right after getting married. What you're thinking about is, "Did you come here to adjust my status?" And we're not allowed to tell somebody to lie and use a tourist visa, which is temporary purposes, with the actual intent of stay, so I can't advise someone to break the rules like that. Ansh says, "Hey, it's been 82 days since USCIS received my RFE. It was I-485 and taxes. How long is the wait? There's no timeline. It could be forever." User okay, Ando, we answered that. Gandhi says, "How long does it take to get a work permit after a K-1 visa?" Whenever we get Tosh says, "Possession gun charge." Tosh, when you're in the United States or really in any country, every charge you have has a conviction, under a state code or a federal code. A lawyer has to get that code, study what the requirements of that code are, and if they violate it for immigration purposes or not, based on criminal history and Supreme Court like. So when you're telling me possession of gun charge, that's like 2% of what I need to know. It's not something that's appropriate to be answered here. You gotta have a lawyer analyze your case. Khalid says, "I'm grounded, asylum. I need to travel. I'm applying for travel document against parole." You gotta get a travel document at least, or refugee travel document. Make it better. I submitted history in March. I haven't heard anything back to normal. I'm not sure what you submitted, but it's probably normal. E3 has several parts to it, so it does not what you got. I-751 manager says, "I-751 waiver pending 2 years. How much longer is it gonna take?" Whatever you get around to. Kylie says, "Please recommend which one is better or faster." I don't have recommendations if people are not my public forum. Duchess says, "Will you help me apply for extension?" Text such an email the office, schedule a consultation, and we'll take it from there. Nagri says, what are you to expect after a biometric appointment for removal of conditions?" Expect to wait, and then see what the government says. Suez says, "I need to apply for a 6-to-1 waiver. Husband passed away, no citizen father. Do I still apply?" Uh, you need to deal with that waiver, so, yeah, you need to have a qualifying relative, yeah, I don't think it's gonna work, but I don't do 6-1 waivers myself, so I'm not the foremost expert on that, but I think you're out of luck, unfortunately. But, you need to, schedule a consultation to look into it. I don't handle this, 6-1 waivers. Do you think the visa bulletin for green card holders getting married in the US will change anytime soon? I don't have control over that, so I don't have an answer. Zari says, "My husband got his 2-year green card. After how long can he apply for his 10-year green card?" 90 days. There's a 90-day window before the expiration of your husband's, 2-year green card. He has to file for the I-75 and removal conditions during that time. Tony says, "Answer my question." I'm not sure what your question was. Hat Gal says, "Can I travel with my advanced parole and EAD card? I don't know your background. I can't really gauge something safe or not. Usually it's okay, but I don't know anything about you to be able to even begin to answer that." Juwan says, how does it take to get a pure P3 visa?" I'm not sure what you mean, how does it take? I mean, how long does it take? And, depends on you use pre processing or not, at the embassy appointment or not, all that kind of stuff. Miles says, "Can we file a K3 visa after I-130 should take longer 7 months?" You can file whenever you want, and that as long as it's not approved. If it's gonna make a difference, most likely not, but you can file it, that's fine. Ed says, "As a green card, can the person open a business in the United States?" Yeah, green card holder can do that, that's fine. Hart says, "How long does it take to see a Bible case to see a judge?" I don't depends on the court's backlog. Gordon says, "How long does it take you to work permit after coming with a K-1 visa?" 3 months, 12 months, whatever the government gets around to it. How long Zane says, "How long does it take for an expedite to go through and deal with the NBC, transfer to NBC?" It could be a day if they're really fast, it could be weeks or months, or they could just deny it. Elaine says, "Can a J-1 visa holder can roll over to working visa?" Um, a J-1 visa holder can change status to working visa. If it's a 2-year home residency requirement, they'll need to go back home and get a visa, and they won't be able to get H-1B or L-1. Depends on if you're subject to 2-year home residency requirement. Yameen says, "How would I know if they receive RFE? Is calling them a good idea? I'm so stressed out." You try calling them, but what we usually do is tracking information, keep postal tracking information so we know they got it. How long does travel documents take? Just 3 months, a year. Yours, he says, "So can I file an I-130 for my wife who I've only lived with for months?" You could have I file I-130s for people who have never lived together, so it really depends on your personal situation, 'cause the I-130 petition is to see if your relationship is really a couple. So, we need to analyze your relationship history joint documents you have, how you know each other, all that kinda stuff. The single idea that you're really of not living together is like, 5% of it. So you're hyper focusing on one aspect. This is why you need a lawyer, to talk with you, keep it real and schedule a consultation with the office. How long does it take to get a green card for Valua? Whatever time might work out. We're getting more and more how long, I do not have an answer for any of that. Paranoia says, "Hi, Counselor John, good to see you. My roommate is a green card holder, and he went back home to Greece and was stopped by the police driving down a case of stairs driving down a case of stairs inebriated 5 years ago. Would this affect the citizenship?" He's been clean as well since then. Well, if he was arrested or convicted, he can. Uh, that's I don't know. I have to see what's going on with that trial, and, if it was supposed to be something he'd admit to or tell the US government that he was having issues. It has to be a lot of details about exactly what happened to be able to answer that question. It says, "What form do I have to submit after H-1B first after H-1B first getting green card, or was it going to be?" The question makes sense. We knows, not clear what you're saying. So, to get H-1B, and there's 10 different forms you can submit for green card. I mean, 10 different types of green cards. It really depends on what kind of case and background happened if you don't satisfy the requirements. Rashawn says, "I got a 2-year permit. Can I apply for a new work permit for 2024 because I'm attending school as an RN?" I'm not sure what kind of work permit you got. It's 2 years, what the basis is, so it depends on what the basis was. Juwan says, "How did it take you to approve a P3 visa?" It varies. If asylum, ED, dismissal is granted, how can I get work permit again? You can't, dismissal, um, you gotta find some other basis for work permit. KPD says, "Sir, it's been 11 months I applied for travel document. The other take a while." Gloria said, "What happens if someone doesn't finish the embassy process? Eventually, the case is gonna get, terminated." Yemi says, "How" answer that question. Can you apply for green card if you've been undocumented for over 3 years or pay taxes? That's the basis for applying for a green card, no. Make It Better says, "I'm sorry, can you please answer my question? I missed it. I don't know what your question was, Make It Better." Fred says, "Made a mistake, put a bank statement to have my previous address on form I-130." I don't know what to say. Why you upload a bank statement, I'm not sure why either. Unless it was a joint document, that's fine. I've got a previous address, should match your I-130 history. Can I submit a new asylum based on different cases or another one pending? It's not impossible, but, it doesn't seem you'd probably just update your existing asylum claim, but I don't asylum form doesn't do asylum law. Make It Better said I submitted EB-3 in March, haven't heard anything yet, just you gotta wait. There's not enough when you say apply, submit an EB-3, you don't submit an EB-3. You submit an I-45, you submit I-140, you submit EOL wage, thing, and all that kinda stuff. So when you send me EB-3, I have no idea. Plus, there's backlogs. I don't know what country you're from to see what backlog that you specifically have, what your priority date is based on initially starting the case for the labor certificate. So they get better. Just so much missing information there that's impossible to answer your question. But in addition to that, the timelines are a mess right now because of the visa bulletin retrogression. So no one in the world other than God can answer that question. Noza says, "Do I need to get a visa back for entering US after traveling home with H-1B? Yeah, you'll need a valid visa to be able to reenter." Dia says, "If case is denied, any other way to review?" Depends on what the case why it is denied. Joe says, "I'm a resident. I have a permanent resident. How can I fly to Mexico only with a passport?" If you're a US resident, you need to have a passport, travel internationally, and come back in, and it kind of depends on the basis of why you got how you got a green card too. If you got a green card 'cause you're for asylum from Mexico, I can't recommend using the passport of that country. Tab says, "How long does the USCIS take for sending a response after a fake report by mistake?" That means there's no answer to that question. My user 13 says, "2 years ago, my brother got approved for I-130, 203A, and somebody changed it to 308P." Your brother kind of got older, over 21 or something like that probably. We'll have to see what's happening. Might be a mistake. Michael says, "I want to get a divorce, but I got my ex letter. How should I go about that? I got my extension letter." I think you're talking about the I-75 one, Michael. If you in a bad relationship, you're in a bad relationship, but you can schedule a private consultation. You gotta look over your joint documents, plan that out. It's a very strategic time if you're doing I-751. After filing or getting divorced, that's a strategically, consequential time. You should schedule an attorney, consultation, talk private about it. Andreas, is it a thing now for USCIS to request medical to be done and take it to them physically. In the email, there was no timeline. Not physically, mail it in. They give you instructions for mailing it in, so I'm not sure what you're asking about physically. What documents are needed for the N-400? Basically, like passport, green card, passport bio page, green card, even passport is not required. Green card, but if you're married, divorced, if you have criminal history, if other stuff needed, it depends on your uh, Robbie says sibling green card processing time if he's living in USA and put I-132, it's not gonna happen. He needs to maintain status. A sibling green card is gonna take 15, 20 years. How long can I apply for citizenship? I'm not sure what that means. Osama says, I am spouse immigrant since 2017. I live outside the United States for more than 1 year on ranch permit. When should I be eligible for citizenship? I was on the US since February 2020. It depends on your case. If you've been living with your US citizen spouse, you maybe file it right as you came back. If you don't aren't married to a US citizen, have been living with them, then you have to wait 5 years or 4 years, 6 months, 1 day after your last entry, probably. Great says, wait for an I-130, they need to analyze the relationship. It's a marriage case, yeah. In other cases, the whole point of the I-130 is to analyze whether the relationship's real, whether a spouse, parent case, sibling case, children case, you gotta make sure the relationship is a preponderance of the evidence is real. Love says, "Can you" okay, answer the question, we get the same question over. Okay, Love, I'm you, unfortunately, going up my timeline. Okay, Digdo says, "Can my resident husband petition for me if I have 2 unlawful entries, one with legal AP?" Probably have to wait for citizenship. You might be subject to a permit ban enough to see. So, Digdo, you gotta have analysis of your case, see what's going on. Mohammed says, "We had an assignment interview on January 1st, so we approval. Those take a while sometimes." Jover says, "What is a new law in Texas?" There's a lot of TikTok channels go over there. I wanna help people actually, like, practical stuff here. Okay, we'll be done in a few minutes, guys. Get ready. We're finish it up. Luna said, "Just lost my job. Can apply for unemployment while waiting for I-135." Unemployment insurance is like it's not really immigration. It's money you put into it, the service system, so you can still get that as long as you just fill the paper correctly. Don't lie on or anything. Please, my case at NBC documentary qualifies since February. No interview date. It just delays. Mayfair says, "I applied for a green card through marriage. I have an interview date 3 weeks. Any advice? Yeah, just prep for it. Be very prepared for it." Andrea said they basically send the email to have it done and take the local field office, not email. That's kinda weird, to take it in person. You want tracking by mail, it goes so but if it makes sure email is real, call USCIS maybe. I haven't seen that, but USCIS does a lot of weird stuff, without giving us heads up, so it's not impossible. Access says, "How long does the IR5 visa interview take these days for document qualified?" Probably like a year. Luna says, "I just lost my job," but we answered that. American citizen living outside the United States, can I register my child as American if you live in the United States for long enough for 5 years, 2 of which were over the age of 14? You're welcome, Andrea. Honey Badger says, "Let me answer that question." I got a lot of repeat questions all over again. It's very sorry, guys. Makes it hard to keep track of what's going on, so I gotta mute. Miss Party says, "Can your citizenship application be delayed if you have a misdemeanor?" It can be denied if you have a delayed. Depends on what the misdemeanor is. Bar says, they sent their documents and what you expect next. I don't know. I haven't seen the documents. Khan says, "I'm a US citizen, and can I put I-130 for my brother in Afghanistan?" Yes. Um, I just, access okay, so we got I'm gonna take okay, I gotta go, everybody. Bye-bye.